I think I'm going to go up here. I read better standing up. So I'm just going to read a little bit from the beginning of The Wilder Life and just talk a little bit, which talks a little bit about how I love the books as a child and gives you an idea of how I became kind of obsessed with the books as a grown-up and became the person who owns like 2 butter churns. I don't know how that happened. So this chapter is called Our Past Life. I was born in 1867 in a log cabin in Wisconsin, and maybe you were too. We lived with our family in the big woods, and then we all traveled in a covered wagon to Indian Territory, where Pa built us another house out on high land where the prairie grasses swayed, right? We remember the strangest things, the way rabbits and wild hens and snakes raced past the cabin to escape a prairie fire, or else how it felt when the head of a needle slipped through a hole in the thimble and stuck us hard. We wanted to yell, but we didn't. We moved on to Minnesota, then South Dakota. I swear to God it's true, we were a girl named Laura, who lived and grew up and grew old and passed on, and then she became a part of us somehow. She existed fully formed in our heads, her memories swimming around in our brains with our own. Most of the Little House books I read came from the public library, usually off the paperback racks. The Harper Trophy editions with their yellow borders and spines. I'm going to take a show of hands here. How many had the yellow paperbacks? How many had the blue paperbacks? Readers, the crowd, the Reader's Digest editions. So. I remember studying the list of the books in the series, and their titles appeared in small caps in the front matter of every book, and I loved the way the list had its own rhythm. Little House in the Big Woods, Little House on the Prairie, Farmer Boy, On the Banks of Plum Creek, By the Shores of Silver Lake, The Long Winter. Of course I memorized them. Little Town on the Prairie, These Happy Golden Years, The First 4 Years. The words plodded along reliably like the feet of Indian ponies. And oh my God, I wanted to live in one room with my whole family and have a pathetic corncob doll all my own. I wanted to wear a calico sunbonnet. Or rather, I wanted to not wear a calico sunbonnet, the way Laura did, letting it hang down her back by its ties. I wanted to do chores because of the books. Carry water, churn butter, make head cheese. I wanted dead rabbits brought home for supper. I wanted to go out in the backyard and just, I don't know, grab stuff off trees or uproot things from the ground and bring it all inside a basket and have my parents say, "My land, what a harvest." There were a host of other things for the books that I remember I wanted to do as well, such as make candy by pouring syrup in the snow, make bullets by pouring lead, sew a seam with tiny and perfectly straight stitches, have a man's hands span my corseted waist, which at the time didn't seem creepy at all, twist hay into sticks, eat salt pork, eat fat pork, keep a suckling pig as a pet, chase a horse or ox into a barn stall, ride on the back of a pony just by hanging onto its mane, feel the Chinook wind. Let's see, one more little bit. For a while, I had a close imaginary friendship with the Laura on the banks of Plum Creek, who felt closest to my age in those books. I was 8 or 9, and I had knowingly conjured her up to talk with her in my head. I daydreamed that she'd showed up in the 20th century, and I had to be her guide. I discovered from talking to friends that this was a common desire. My friend Amy, for instance, wanted to show her around. That was the exact phrase she remembers using, show her around. Surely a fantasy this specific must mean something. I suppose it allowed us to infuse our own world with Laura-like wonder as we imagined her odd appreciation for the safe, cluttered lives that we led. One of the review quotes from my paperback editions, taken from the literature publication The Horn Book, says, "The Laura Ingalls of the 1870s and 80s has stepped from the past into the flesh and blood reality of a chosen friend. I don't know if the desire to take that chosen friend to McDonald's is quite what the Horn Book had in mind, but my friend Amy sure wanted to do it. As for me, I wanted to take Laura to North Riverside Mall. In my mind, I ushered her onto escalators and helped her operate a soda machine. I took her with me on car trips and reassured her when the station wagon would pull onto the expressway ramp and accelerate to a speed 3 times faster than the train she rode, faster than she would have ever imagined a human could travel. It's okay, Laura, I tell her.